Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone, and today we're going to answer the question, what the F is Arishem? This is Marvel Snap's newest and weirdest card that releases today at 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll also look at Black Swan and Hercules decks. We have over 10 Arishem decks and so much more to get to. The giveaway is also in full effect, so if you're interested in a free season pass for next season for Gwenpool, make sure you keep it here. The giveaway is nice and simple. At some point in this video, during the Arishem section, I'll just let you know, I'm going to ask you a question. Your job is to answer that question, and as long as you're subscribed, that will be an entry into winning a season pass. Subscribe, like, comment. This very video, every video this week has a chance to win a season pass in it. Every single video will be one season pass, which means if you subscribe, like, and comment during that and answer that question during that Arishem section, you'll be entered to win a season pass, so make sure you stay tuned. In addition, we hope you'll sub anyway and keep an eye on this channel. We bring you 7 days a week of Marvel Snap videos, more decks than anyone. We have 10 Arishem decks, but every single day we have at least 3 meta decks from top players in Marvel Snap to show you, to give you a play-by-play guide for. If you're interested, please hit that sub button. If you're already subbed, like, comment, watch as long as you can. It helps us out in an absolutely massive way. If you're curious what a regular deck guide looks like, well, it looks kind of like this. This is a Good Cards Darkhawk list from our friend Fazzer Snap. Fazzer built this Darkhawk list, and I think it's a really solid list. It's also kind of old school. It reminds me, well, obviously on purpose, of the last year meta stature Darkhawk list that ran like a mini curve with Miles Morales and Jeff and Polaris was at the time, not Spider-Man, in order to get a cheap card, and then it just plays like a lot of power at the end of the game. Well, this deck is about to get a serious benefit when Arishem comes out. We'll talk more about that as we go forward. If you'd like to check out our friend Fazzer, check out twitch.tv/FazzerSnap. He is the exact same name on Twitter. Jeff can be Nightcrawler or Domino here. I like Nightcrawler here for the extra move, but there is something to speak to Domino. This is a very low early curve with only 1-1 and 1-2, and Domino just saying, okay, I always have something to do on 2 has at least a little bit of value. Nocturne can be Polaris here. You don't lose a ton from that. It's a change, but you want to make sure, again, Nocturne stays a move card. Phastos can be Mystique or Mobius. In fact, I'm going to insist that Phastos be Mystique for the foreseeable future. Darkhawk and Mystique will absolutely beat Arishem. And if you're about to play 1,000 Arishem decks tomorrow, well, Darkhawk and Mystique, being both 30-ish power each, will do that job for you without too much work. They'll both take a lane, and that's 2 lanes. If you win 2 lanes, you win the game. The opponent can try and counter it. We'll get to more about what that math looks like before the end of this video. So again, this deck is for those of you who are not getting Arishem or who just want some free cubes beating the crap out of Arishem, because a lot of your opponents are going to be playing Arishem. So turn 1 is nice and simple, Korg. Turn 2, Jeff. I would generally play Korg on 2 over Jeff, if you drew Korg on 2. Turn 3, Phastos or Rockslide. If you have Mystique in that Phastos spot, it's obviously just Rockslide. Those are generally better than Spidey, who goes up in value, probably even above Phastos if you have Miles, which is above Nocturne. Turn 4, you would like a 3+1, and that 1 should be, if possible, Miles Morales. If you go Rockslide and Miles here, totally fine. If possible, turn 5, Black Bolt, then turn 6, Stature and Darkhawk. And you've put a massive amount of power on the board and won the game. If you are playing an Arishem deck, you'll go Darkhawk on 5, and then you'll play Mystique and honestly kind of anything on turn 6 and be able to win. One last look at this deck before we get to our brand new card. Actually, let's say one more thing. If you're interested in Marvel Snap tournaments, you should join the Snap Judgments League. We have over $500 in prizes, and this is the least commitment because I recognize that so many of my viewers are busy adults. All it takes is 1 game a week. Done obviously online on your own schedule in order to participate in this tournament to win both a season pass and up to $500 in prizes. Please check out the Patreon at snapjudgments.com/Patreon or join the Discord, the Snap Judgments League Discord, linked at the bottom of this video. All right, Arishem 7-2. Sorry, comes out 7-2. He is a 7/7. This is our first 7 cost card in Marvel Snap. He is Series 5, 6,000 tokens. At the start of the game, +1 max energy. Shuffle 12 random cards into your deck. So yeah, he doubles your deck size, except he takes up more than double your deck space because Arishem himself is a card that you have to play. So 13 cards will be 12 cards will be random, 1 card will be Arishem, and 11 cards will be your deck. In order to make your deck so stupidly, completely, absurdly huge, you get +1 max energy, so you should fundamentally always have something to do in the game because you just get so much energy. Obviously, that's not always going to be the case. Sometimes you're going to get really, really unlucky. You're going to draw a bunch of 6 costs that Arishem put into your deck. He's not giving you a curve. He's just giving you 12 random cards. All right. Very quickly, these are the Spotlight caches that come with Arishem. This is the Spotlight variant. I think it's decent. We've got a Black Swan. I know Roy, my co-host on the podcast, really likes this Black Swan. I like the one we got from the Season Pass better. I also have 2 great Hercules variants, but this one is very good. I have the Gold Spotlight Hercules, which I got by accident. I was at a red light driving home and didn't realize I had opened Hercules and accidentally kept opening. And I have the Hip, and Dan Hips are my favorite, so I'm pretty sure that I personally am going to get Arishem with tokens, but I'm a content creator. I have to get Arishem. I have to be able to test this card and give you good advice on it. Should you open Arishem? Well, that's what the rest of this video is going to intend to tell you, and I'm going to give you a very quick TLDR. We don't know what the hell to make of this card. A lot of people are saying this is great and must have. A lot of people are saying this is completely terrible. Several people are guaranteeing this is going to be super fun. We don't actually know any of them that. Every single bit of that is speculative and highly independent at this point. Sorry, highly subjective at this point. So my advice is going to be to try and wait for Arishem unless this is a card you feel like you must have. But even so, we're going to break down the mechanics and everything else we need to. In addition, we have 2 variants coming out for Arishem. The one that is the thumbnail that I am buying that comes out tomorrow is the Eduardo Melo. It's a super rare. We also have Carlos Pacheco and Cam Smith with one that doesn't have a release date. Usually that means that this is going to be a second spotlight cache when it comes back into spotlights. But I am perfectly happy to run the very cool thumbs down Eduardo Melo one. I think it's a gorgeous, gorgeous variant. All right, so things to know. This is hard countered by Darkhawk. And eventually Cassandra Nova is going to be like a 13 power card against this. Wait, no, more than that. Like 17 power card against this as well. So Darkhawk and Cassandra Nova hard counter this. You can copy Cassandra Nova with Taskmaster. You can copy Darkhawk with Mystique. You can also copy Darkhawk with Taskmaster, I suppose. I bet you there's a deck we can build around that. I'll get to work on that starting tomorrow. So this is both huge and random, but +1 energy can be awesome. This is going to change how sersi works. Sersi being used on a 6 used to do nothing. Now sersi being used on a 6 will always get you Arishem, which can be a benefit, like a Dr. Doom gets more power, a leader gets more power. It could be a negative, should you play it on a Magneto, for example. Quinjet is this card's absolute best friend. All the cards that it draws are going to be discounted by 1, and if you have +1 energy and -1 cost to half your deck, that is pretty damn good. Stuff like Blob and Wave work really well. A one-sided Wave on turn 2 is great, but you're not especially likely to see it. Blob also gets rid of a lot of your deck and should be relatively huge, much like it is for Thanos. Loki, Coulson, and card generation go really well here. You got a giant hand of random cards. You don't even have to play turns 1, 2, and 3, because you can play Loki on 3 here. You just sort of wait, and then you play Loki, and then you have your opponent's deck, except cheaper, and you have more energy. Coulson will also always give you a 4 and a 5. That is a card that you can play and still have energy left over, which is really good. Also, that extra energy means High Evolutionary is reasonable. All these cards, much like Quinjet, will make them cheaper. They will also make Mockingbird cheaper once they're played, which is pretty nice. Phastos and Hope may make some sense here. Just like if you're already getting energy advantage, why not ramp that up? I actually like Hope better than Phastos. Everyone's saying Phastos, but I'm a Hope stan. Shang and Enchantress are needed for, not that Blob, for that Darkhawk, for that Cassandra Nova once Cassandra Nova comes out. So you're going to need answers to these cards, and Shang and Enchantress need to be in the deck. You're not especially likely to draw them, but that is worthwhile. And Blink is good, but dangerous here because it could pull out a Destroyer or whatever. You have no idea what you're going to hit. And Havoc is good, but a little less dangerous because if you play Havoc on turn whatever, you just go down to a regular amount of energy, which is, you know, significantly freaking better than taking that downside since Havoc gets so big. All right, so we got some awesome info from Rez Snapper. Check out Rez Snapper on YouTube. He's doing really great custom card content. Not custom card content, sorry, new card content. My personal favorite of new card content remains my friend Docty, who will be on the podcast this week. But props to Rez Snapper for being really, really great at carrying that Drewberry mantle. In addition, The Great Dara, if you look for Dara Jan on YouTube, has a whole bunch of information with math broken down about this card. So this is a 37% chance of seeing any specific card in your deck, which is not very good odds. And statistically, you're going to see 4 or 5 of yours and 4 or 5 of Arishem's cards, which is, again, you should at least see some of your cards. It's just you're seeing under 40% of your cards. Cool. Which means you don't really want to play cards that have strong synergies together. There are 280 cards in the game, which means you have a 4.25% chance of any particular card being randomly added, and you can build around cards you don't want to draw, which ZalSnapper is going to do when we look at his deck. We're going to look at a bunch of decks. Are you ready for a ton of very, very cool, very distinct Arishem decks? As always, we start with our friend Docty, the king of new card content. He's absolutely killing it. Make sure you check out Docty. Docty started with a high Evoshem. This is just a very simple list that says if I've got extra energy, well, a lot of the time that extra energy is going to go to waste. Sunspot, Misty Knight, Cyclops, Hulk all take advantage of that, as does She-Hulk, who you can often play way too early. Shang-Chi and Enchantress are here to handle those Darkhawks. You're going to see those in a lot of these lists, and that's the basic gist of the list. We've all seen how powerful, as my cat starts meowing, we've all seen how powerful Leech can be on turn 4, so that this list also uses that, because if you draw a Leech early, it is absolutely game-winning, and against many decks, say Surfer, for example, a snap condition. Hey, ZalSnapper, I told you we'd look at a ZalSnapper deck. ZalSnapper has a really, really cool, weird Loki list. Okay, so the cards that you don't want to draw here are M'Baku and Uatu. This is my Chuatu variant. Every variant, I like this deck enough that I went and added my own variants to it, because I'm definitely playing this. But if you don't draw M'Baku, that's just a free 2 power at the end of the game. Not bad, right? Not the best thing in the world, but not bad. And Uatu gives you a free location. You're not likely to draw these cards anyway, so why not get that extra upside? Quinjet, in the meantime, Quinjet makes everything cheaper. Blob eats a bunch of your deck. A Hobgoblin on 4 is stellar. Nick Fury seems really good here for much the same reason Coulson does. Anytime you can cost control your cards, you're great. And then you're just saying, and now a train's passing. We're having a good time tonight. All right. So anytime you can say, I know exactly what costs I'm generating with Arishem, that's going to be a benefit. If you can ever get Quinjet and Fury, you're going to town, you can play all 3 of those 6s. And then Magneto and Red Hulk are here just because they're good. And if you happen to draw them, playing either of them on turn 5 on turn 4, playing either of them on turn 5 is still backbreaking and extremely powerful. I love this list. This is one of my favorite lists. I think the M'Baku and Uatu, I'm just excited to play these cards. I'm not going to lie. I am very likely cutting Phastos in this list. Just for the record, again, I think the idea of seeing Phastos on 2 or 3 is stellar, but the odds of it happening are so low at that point that I'm not going to really be banking on. Next up, we have Arishem Remp. This is from our friend Canadian Alfredo, who writes for Marvel Snap Zone, much like myself. If you're interested in a ranking of this Spotlight cache and every other Spotlight cache that has been data mined, please check out Marvel Snap Zone, where I wrote that article. Canadian Alfredo has this wonderful Arishem Remp deck. This is nice and simple. This says, I just want to cheat out big stuff with my Arishem. Odds are I'm not drawing my own cards, and if I draw my own cards, I'm probably going to draw them late. And if I'm drawing them late, well, I might as well just make them as big as possible. Great, an Iron Man on turn 4, an Iron Lad on turn 3, a Jubilee on turn 3, Wave on 2, Nocturne on 2. These are all great plays. This is very likely to be a way that this card works. I don't love the Black Panther Zola thing, but I get it because you can also Zola the Iron Man. You can also Zola anything other big you get. Like a Zola leader seems pretty damn solid to me as well. So there's a lot of interesting and powerful things to do with this list. I think that this is fairly likely to be the non-Loki place that Arishem ends up. Our friend Ob's World has this deck that he calls Eternal's True Power, and this one is trying to take advantage of basically saying, if I got random cards, giving them all +1 power. Blue Marvel seems really good. +1 extra cards are likely to be on reveals or ongoings. Most cards in the game are. Absorb Mana Mystique, make that better. Howard lets me know what's coming, which seems reasonably good. Should I be able to get it? Howard's probably the cut here. And then Sersi, you play the cards. Mockingbird gets cheaper. Jubilee is likely to pull a card that makes Mockingbird cheaper, etc., etc. This list seems really cool. A lot of stuff going on. Sarah on 4 is a thing I haven't heard a lot of people talking about, but much like Leech on 4, Sarah on 4, if the opponent doesn't have Mobius, is absolutely backbreaking and game-winning. If you've got -1 cost to all your cards and then +1 energy, you're probably going to win that game of Snap. Next up, we have Monk's Arishem RNG machine. Monks is a Marvel Snap Zone user who builds a lot of decks I think are really cool. I love this deck. This deck is so stupid. It is just saying, well, what if I go Pixie and then I have Shang and Rogue for the Darkhawks, right? I have Loki to just be like, wee, your deck. Phastos is here just as extra RNG stuff. Pixie is here as RNG stuff. Sersi is here as RNG. Blob has some RNG. Like, this deck is hilarious and awesome. If you're going to go with Arishem, you might as well go completely freaking insane. And that's what this deck from Monks does. Next up, we have our first Safety Blade deck. I believe we have 2 safety decks today. Maybe wrong. Safety is chilling in the top 10 of Marvel Snap. He is a constant meta breaker. He created the very first of the really good Zoo Gilgamesh decks right after the patch, the one that everyone has based theirs on. And he created the previous Professor X Ravonna Cannonball thing that everyone hated. That was a safety original. So we always like to pay attention to safety decks. Safety here is doing a high evolutionary thing, much the same as before, saying if I have extra energy, we're perfectly happy to do this. Storm on 2 is hilarious into Cyclops if you can get it, or into whatever other giant cards you can. Adam Warlock on turn 4 seems great. The Misty thing is really good. I'd really like to fit Sunspot in here. Probably have to be for Thing, but either which way, this is a very cool deck that has a lot going for it. Again, we're trying to answer Darkhawk here with Red Guardian and Shang-Chi, and saying we're going to get big and let's go to town. If Adam Warlock works in Arishem, I'm going to play a lot of Arishem. Adam Warlock's a really cool card that is fundamentally unplayable. All right, I told you we had 2 safety decks. This is Safety's Judgment. Arishem is a judge in the comics. He judges worlds worthy or not. This is just a nice curved list that does a lot of powerful things. Legion on 4 is silly. I can't believe there's no Storm in this, although I guess the likelihood of you seeing those 2 cards is rare. Mobius is just going to be really good. One of the ways to beat Arishem is going to be to play cards like Loki that discount your card so that the Arishem's not really giving as much a benefit. -1 cost to all of your cards is better than +1 energy for your board, because the negative cost can be used multiple times, while the +1 energy is that once per turn. But yeah, this is a very cool list, very worthwhile at looking at. Again, I think Legion is a very good card that like, we're just looking at really good like 5s that are sort of underpowered as 5s, but like if you play them on 4, all of a sudden they're completely insane. Plus, Legion scams you wins when nothing else can. Next up, we have Ankh, another person doing great new card content. Check him out on YouTube. Just type in Ankh Marvel Snap. And this is a lovely, again, we have Adam Warlock. This version is Thanos. Yeah, everyone's got a Thanos list, which is giving you a 30 freaking card deck. Yeah, that's a Hearthstone-sized deck. This one says, well, the stones draw, Crystal draws, Adam Warlock draws. I'm just going to draw my way out of trouble. That blob should be the biggest thing on Earth. Professor X seems reasonable here, right? There's not enough move to stop. Like, if you're playing Professor X on 4 after a Call Obsidian, you should still be able to win that lane, right? There's a lot to like here. This should be a very cool list. Thanos is going to be bad with Arishem, I'm pretty sure. But, like, Lord knows everyone's going to play it for a little bit until Darkhawk scares it off. This might be our last one. No, we haven't looked at mine yet. So this is our friend Teddy Ninja. Check out Teddy Ninja, wonderful Marvel Snap creator and podcaster, who has another version of Ramp. This one is Sandman. It's ultimately the difference here. This says to hell with RNG. I'm going to play Blink. I'm going to play Sandman. I'm going to play Sersi. I'm going to tell you one more card I'm adding to this list. I am adding Lockjaw, because Lockjaw on 3 is an extraordinarily powerful card, as we all know. So I'm going to add me some Lockjaw to this list, and we're going to go to town. All right, Zordrex74 had my favorite Arishem of all. This is yet another good stuff version that's just saying, I've got all the tech in Loki. I don't have to worry about drawing too many cards, though Snowguard and Coulson will draw cards. And I'm not likely to see them with Loki. I can just, if I see Loki early, I can just skip Loki and then play a reasonable deck. And if not, I have all these tech cards and all these powerful cards. This one sort of combines a lot of what everything's doing. Props to Zodrex74, who you should check out on Twitch. And finally, this is my Arishem deck. Okay, here's my logic. I want generated cards. I think generated cards will be amazing with Arishem. So I added Valentina and Coulson because they both give me specific generated cards. Cable is a less specific card, but Cable is really useful information. If I hit a Korg with my Cable, I know that if I better not Loki my Shangri Enchantress, right? Quinjet is obviously going to be in every one of these decks that makes any sense. Blob, because there's just so much to eat. Mockingbird gets cheaper. Sersi turns crap I don't want into crap I do want. And then Leech. So this is where I'm starting. Personally, this is my Arishem deck. Again, if I can go Valentina on 1 and then that card on 3, I'm pretty damn happy. If I can go Cable on 1 and know exactly what I'm playing against, I can snap and threaten things. Like, let's go. I'm very, very hyped for this list. This is where I will be starting. All right. Final thoughts. Does Arishem look good? So every card they've released since... God, every card they've released since like February has been good or like nearly good. Fastos is like the worst card they've released in recent memory, and he's good. He's just not like necessary or important, right? So it's very likely that Arishem fits under that category, given our past practice here. No one knows for sure. Everyone's telling you they know this is going to be great. Like, you're going to find 10,000 this is busted videos. We don't know. People generally think so. Most people think so. I think it's going to be probably bad this week because everyone's going to be playing Arishem and mirrors are going to be really weird, or they're going to be playing Darkhawk and Darkhawk's going to murder Arishem. Once Arishem becomes more of a novelty and less the whole damn meta, Darkhawk sort of recedes back into the background, and then we can actually figure out how good Arishem is, so it's going to be extremely complicated to actually evaluate this card. However, no card has appeared to be this fun since High Evolutionary or around High Evolutionary. No card has been as like wildly, what the hell is this, in ages. Very few cards make a deck all on their own. Arishem does, which speaks very highly in his favor. As always, though, we're going to wait till Friday to see, unless we must have that variant, or we think this is too fun and we don't care if it's meta. But if you buy Arishem and you don't care if it's meta or not, and you're not sure if it's good, don't complain when the next Sage comes out in a few weeks, and you're like, well, I opened for Arishem and I can't have that card. How dare second dinner? You've got to make that choice. You've got to own that choice. Or you can wait till Friday and make a more informed and reasonable decision. All right, our first spotlight card is Black Swan. She is 3/5, Series 5, 6,000 tokens. She is a former season pass. On reveal, until the end of your next turn, your 1-cost cards cost 0. Black Swan has no home. She has never had a home. We're going to look at like 4 Black Swan decks, and the best of them is mediocre. She's just not a good card. I'm very curious what would happen if she were a 2/3. Unfortunately, we have no idea if she will ever be a 2/3. She was originally data mined as a 2/3, so we know she was tested that way. I think if she's a 2/3, she's a card that I'm very interested in. And as a 3/5, she's a card that I play for novelty once in a while for fun. This is, well, okay. This with an extra 1-drop, I believe it was Electra over Fastos, was my favorite deck ever for Black Swan. Basically, what you do is you play Sunspot early, and then you pass 2, then you play Bishop, then you play Khazar, then you play Black Swan, and then you play Hit Monkey and Strong Guy and all the ones. And that's the list, right? Like, you add a bajillion power, Bishop becomes like 11 or 12 power, Hit Monkey becomes like humongous, like 14 power thing. Strong Guy ends up 9 power, and then you can steal the game that way. Easy to throw priority, so Killmonger's not a concern. It is Phil Woodward's deck. It is the most fun I've ever had with Black Swan. It is not a consistent deck, but it is a ridiculously fun deck. It also folds like nobody's business to Sandman. Next up, we have a C5 deck. This is from another Marvel Snap Zone writer. My favorite deck guides in the business are by Bohe. This is a nice, simple Cerebro 5, where like you play a normal game more or less, and then on turn 5, you drop Black Swan with hopefully Medusa or Silk, and then you play your Cerebro with your 1-drops, and then you say, I've got 3 5s worth of 1-drops, basically the same thing as Dr. Doom, and I can play Cerebro that turn, who is generally going to be completely safe. It's a really cool play, really very cool deck. So you're going to go like Silk into Nocturne into Captain Marvel, or and then if Silk moves, you'll have that extra energy to play Black Swan with either Medusa or 20 or Spider-Man, and then you can just drop Cerebro in the 3 ones, and you can win. A very, very cool list. Is it the strongest thing in the world? No, nothing Black Swan does is, but it's cool. Next up, we have Bounce. This is just an old Bounce list that I have lying around from May 27th. It's a standard Bounce list, right? Sometimes Black Swan works really well for Bounce because you can spend turn 4 playing Black Swan, then you can go 1/1/1/1/1, Hit Monkey Sasquatch. right? Sorry, 1/1/1/1 hit monkey bouncing around that werewolf by night that you played on turn 3, and then you can Sasquatch for free to end the game. It's a perfectly fine way to play. Is it amazing? Nah, not really. If you do play all that ones, though, your goal is to sort of beast or falcon them back, so that you have the best of them to play again with the Sasquatch and bounce that werewolf to end the game. It's a cool list. It's a very cool list, but it's like super duper inconsistent, like ridiculously and utterly, completely inconsistent. Speaking of inconsistent, here's a Thanos Zoo from our friend Den. This one's running a few one drops. It's running a Koye to give those one drops some versatility, and it's got the stones. So that's it. It's a really simple list. I wish this list was good. This is like a type of Thanos I really enjoy with Valkyrie, but it's really not. It's really hard to get Blue Marvel or a Koye out in a 18 card deck, which is worrying when we talk about Arishem, right? Because you need to get, or I guess Khazar, you need to get one of your 3 pumps out to sort of make Valkyrie or Gilgamesh really worth it. And if you can't make them really worth it, then what the hell are we doing here? Yeah? All right. Our next spotlight card is Hercules. Hercules was recently buffed from a 4/7 to a 3/4. It's amazing that losing 3 strength is still not nearly as important as just losing 1 cost. Losing 1 cost is so much better. It's not true of every card, but it is true of enigmas like Hercules. He also, in the last series, dropped to series 4. So the first time another card moves here each turn, move it to another location. This card is now fantastic. Is it meta? No, because Move is too hard to play. Move is currently the number 2 ranked deck at 10,000 plus snap points on the Infinite Leaderboard piloted by our friend Fazzer. I am not good enough to play this deck. I lost a lot of snap ranks that I had to climb back using yesterday's Namora deck to regain, but this is yeah, if you're willing to learn it, if you're willing to spend the 100 games losing to get the muscle memory for this, this is one of the best cards and one of the best decks right now. And I think in September, when Aranya and Madame Web come out, Hercules is just going to be straight up a meta card. This is the Sizer move deck that we referred to in casual conversation with. All right, Sizer had a werewolf version of this that didn't work, and he slowly ended up on this version with Shadow King. Nico keeps getting cut and then re-put back to Nico because there's not really a great last card for that spot. I said, this is 1 card off the Lambie version. Lambie runs Cloak over Shadow King. And then I saw Husky playing Yo Woody, and I had a conversation with Husky Puppies, another top player. And Husky just has Hulkbuster in that Shadow King slot. And I really like the Hulkbuster. I might actually change Nico for Hulkbuster, because what Hulkbuster does is it lets me play out my Dagger or Torch early, and then I can play the Hulkbuster on that Dagger/Torch, and then remove it with Doctor Strange or Ghost Spider, which is just stellar. So I really, really, really like that Hulkbuster ad. But basically, Hercules enables this whole deck to be able to go over the top. It makes it a competitive deck, takes it from a tier 2 deck to a potential tier 1 deck, 1.5, because again, it is so hard to play. You have the Komi's version of this. Komi's is the Marvel Snap World Champion. There's a full deck guide to the Sizer one in 2 days ago's video, and this version in yesterday's video. So if you're interested in that, check it out. This version, the big difference is this version plays for priority. Cloak is really good at priority, by the way. This version plays for priority, and with that priority, he uses Cosmo to prevent shenanigans. You can play mind games with your opponent, whether they think you're going to Heimdall and that you're going to Cosmo, and then you win. And sometimes your opponent has no tech, and you just drop Heimdall and beat the hell out of them and win anyway. So, very cool list. Another version of the same concept. Next up, we have the Linsanity move. This is yet another cool version. This version says, I'm going to make Dagger or Human Torch so stupidly big. It uses Hulkbuster to do so. I'm going to make them so stupidly big using all of these combo cards. And then I'm going to Tribunal and just spread that power and hope that's enough. Super cool list. A little worse than the other 2, but still very, very good. From Linsanity, a member of the Lambie fam. Combo move. This is from Zombies Go Nom Nom. This one is saying, I'm going to I played this a little bit. I went 1 and 3, but my 1 win was 8. So that was nice. So I'm still up cubes. This one says I'm going to get Dagger or Torch huge, and then I'm going to play Taskmaster. This is incredibly difficult because Ghost Spider or Doctor Strange have to be played after, and then Taskmaster will try and copy them, which is generally speaking not the idea, which means you have to do that, then bounce before 5, and you need to have Ravonna out so that you can play, you need to have Ravonna out if it's going to be Dagger, so you can Dagger Taskmaster, or you can just Torch Taskmaster on it. Either way, this is really, really cool and really powerful, and I think the September cards are going to take this version especially up a huge notch, as those cards will be played before the move cards, which means that Taskmaster will be much, 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 much easier to trigger. Because, for example, Madam Web is a 2/3 with the ongoing. Each turn you can move a card out of there. So you play Madam Web, you play Human Torch or Hercules or whatever. You throw Human Torch into the Hercules, it throws it back to Madam Web. You do it again and again, and then you bounce the Human Torch on turn 5, and then turn 6 you can just Human Torch Taskmaster. It seems really, really powerful. All right, next up we have Safety's Hercules first. This was Safety's like pet deck for a while. It does the same thing as the Linsanity deck, except this one says, but what if Phoenix Force? Doesn't Phoenix Force just make it easier to get that Human Torch stupidly huge? Or that dagger stupidly huge? Why, yes, it does. You have to get the combo for Phoenix Force, but if you can get it, the Tribunal thing wins you the damn game. You also obviously have the multiple man Phoenix Force thing as well to just win the game that way. So multiple ways to win. Extremely, extremely cool and powerful deck. Check out Safety's Hercules Force. No one is playing this. We checked out another Phoenix Force deck yesterday, but no one's playing this version. I'm not totally sure why, because I think this version got way better. All right, so should you open this week? So no, not if you don't have Black Swan. Black Swan is terrible. If she's a 2/3, all of a sudden she's meta, but again, there's no word. There's no reason to assume, think, or believe that that is coming anytime soon. I never did the freaking thing. What you're going to do is you're going to tell me how good you think Arishem is. My wife is laughing at me. You're going to tell me how good you think Arishem is. The way you win the season pass is you tell me how good you think Arishem is. Do you think it's going to be meta? Do you think it's going to be a top 5 deck? Do you think it's going to be just for fun? Do you think it's worth opening, worth passing on? Give me your Arishem take in order to win that season pass. Since I messed up the timing, I'm going to throw a timestamp at this exact point of the video in order to help out with where this is. Cool? Sorry, I messed up. Not you. Okay, sorry, I got lost explaining the cards. All right, Hercules is needed for the best moves. If you want move, especially with 2 move cards in September, this is it. However, it is a 3,000 token card, so if you have the tokens, you could just open for Hercules and skip Arishem. I'd open for Hercules and Arishem if you have an interest in both, though. Generally speaking, if you can get 2 cards, that usually makes a week worth it, even if one's a Series 4. Quick reminder about Thursday, Friday, and Monday's videos on this channel. So on Thursday, what I do is I go ask a bunch of top players, people at the top of the Infinite leaderboards. Some of the greatest players at Marvel Snap. We're talking our Lambes, we're talking our .geos, we're talking our, we're talking our Tanjos. Like the people that are the very best at Marvel Snap, I ask them what they think of the card. They give me their first impression, I write it up on a nice slide, and explain it to you what they're all arguing about the card. We use that to inform Friday's video, where I give you weekend missions are the first time you have to make a decision. Because that's when buying the card gives you a resource, right? So if you're going to buy the card, you might as well, generally speaking, buy it for weekend missions. So Friday, I will synthesize all that. I will look up the data for the cards, look at the data in different bands at different collection levels. I'll look at it in different archetypes, and I will give you a recommendation for the card. Should you buy this card at this point or not? And then Monday, where we have just crazy more data about Arishem, I will give you a final last chance recommendation before Tuesday, when the new season kicks off and you can no longer buy Arishem. Generally speaking, I think Arishem is fun. I think Arishem is going to be good and not great. I think he's going to be borderline worth it. Once Darkhawk goes away, he's going to look really bad while Darkhawk is still everywhere. I think this is going to be a good card once Darkhawk goes away, which means not this week in all likelihood. We'll know more, because great players can evaluate cards more independently of context once they get their hands on it, play with it, deck build with it on Thursday and Friday, so let's wait until Friday to make a hard decision. Questions of the day, and then we are out of here. Double Down, I believe it could be Double Dan, Double DN, asks about the win a location with 1 card missions, and I do these like a jerk. I go into Proving Ground, and I don't do this all the time, right? Like, so I play my normal games, and if I look and I still have that one thing and it's bothering me, I just go into Proving Grounds. You have to wait till the end of turn 3, so you play some just like big power stuff, like you play a Medusa and a Gladiator in a deck, right? And I don't know, a Nebula or whatever, so people are playing in that Nebula lane, and you can win those other 2. So you do that, and then you just, if you're ahead at the end of turn 3, you retreat, you do that the 2 to 4 times that are needed. If you're kind, you do that once, then you concede the match, then you do it again with a new opponent. This way you're at least giving them the ticket for their trouble, and you can move on with life. Or you can just do it 3 times, 4 times with one person. At the end of it, though, do please concede. Don't, like, after you've been a jerk 3 times, just turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, concede, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, concede. Just concede the match. It is the kind way to do it. You'll get your daily done, and they get their ticket. Everyone's happy. Blobby Blobby asks if Second Dinner hates Bounce, because Bounce keeps getting nerfed. No, I just think Bounce is really, really, really hard to balance. I think they thought Black Swan was going to make Bounce really good. Honestly, I think that's why they made it a 3-5, not a 2-3. And then they had to change Beast when Beast was a 3-4, because Beast was just too good as compared to Black Swan. I don't think they hate Bounce. I think that when Bounce is good, the meta is really, really hard to balance, because Bounce counters all tech cards. Bounce plays like a combo deck that ignores tech cards, although locations can still mess it up. Given that's the case, I think that they're happy with Bounce being something that occasionally pops up in the meta, but is not a consistent force. And even though Bounce is my favorite, I can't be too mad at them for that. Heretics Lee would like me to retouch upon Proving Grounds etiquette. All right, Proving Grounds should be one match, but it's not. So what most people do in Proving Grounds is they give the fist bump and then they snap, right? If they give the fist bump and then they snap, what that traditionally means is they're going to snapping and trying to make Proving Grounds one match. You play one game to the finish and then you get to Silver Conquest. Because losing Proving Grounds provides you nothing, just getting through the game as fast as possible is the most efficient way to get through it. You might want to test Improving Grounds. Then I suggest genuinely doing the fist bump back and snap back, and then you can, if you win, great, you've got a silver ticket where you're going to be forced to play a real Marvel Snap. And if you lose, then you play another game of Proving Grounds, and maybe that next person doesn't do the fist bump snap, and then you have a full game of Marvel Snap to play. Fire Troll wants to know how I like my steak cooked. Medium rare to medium, depends on my mood, and depends on my stomach is feeling. I have a fairly sensitive stomach. It'll be medium if I've got a little tummy ache, and it'll be medium rare if not. Generally speaking, that is my preference. Gunny T, I don't know why I didn't write Gunny T's name, wants to know what are some things I'm most looking forward to in Snap and in real life. In Snap, I'm very excited for my wife says I'm most looking forward to her. She is sitting next to me for today's video, and apparently it's participation day. So some things I'm looking forward to in Snap are, I'm really, really excited for Deadpool's Diner. I don't think I'm especially going to like it, but I think new things are cool, and I love novelty, and I'm willing to try it. I also, I'm going to be honest, I'd really, really like to get a video in the game at some point. Several of my friends have done it in the community tab, and I'd like to do that, so I'm hopeful that one day that I can be able to do that as well. I'm very excited for various podcast guests. We've got Sizer and Spyro coming on in a couple weeks, which is 2 top-ranked players. Spyro is a huge, huge creator. And then at the end of the month, we have Binks coming on, which is just super-duper cool. So I'm very excited for all these Marvel Snap things. And in real life, I'm obviously excited for my lovely wife. I'm also excited for the 2 vacations we're going to take this year. We're going to the Bahamas at the end of July, or sort of in the middle of July, like the 19th to the 21st or so. Videos will continue, have no fear. And then I've got to figure out how to continue videos. We're going to from August 18th to August 25th. My birthday is August 26th. We're going to Colombia, and I got to figure out how to keep videos going, because that's during SnapCon, and most of the people who would cover for me will be at SnapCon. So I will figure that out, but videos will not stop. Damn it. Thank you. That's what I'm looking forward to as of right now. Also, this feels like a weird question for me right now, because the year feels like it just ended for me. It's the school year just ended, and as a teacher, years are school years, not January, December. So it feels very strange to me to be asked about the year and what I'm excited for, because the year started a day ago. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. I'd like to say thank you to these members of patreon.com/snapjudgments. Thank you to Abigail Kiesland, Mandatory Burnout, Cables, Regardless, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, LAB, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer, This Is the Way, Inc., I Am Frostman, Jay Never Eats, Doomer, Prime Ryan, Heretics Lee, Koi Ray, Pyrofros, The Goat Seeker, Danman Falcon, Quid Pro Joe, King of New Card Content, Doc D, Fat Nick, Doku, Ginger Prime, Ginge, Philip Rakovich, hello Racco, Haplo, Racco and Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, the OG Rob Silverman, the Notorious Bizza, X-Force V and Skippy G, Rhyming Friends, Simon Nyquist, winner of Snap Judgments League Season 1, the King of Bros Bro, Black Dahlia, the Great Kazoo, Whoop, Jessica Gamble, hello Jess, our own Woody, Ryan Wood, Kev C. Hoda, Lunacris, Archangel 3K, my firm student Louis Antonis, Mod Supreme Models, the one and only Darth Tater, Remus Atala, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., Mr. J.D. McDonald Ianho, The Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrumix, Woo, Matt H., DJ Mackie Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Mr. Craig Sterry, Seamus, caught up, not caught up, hard to say, Jonesy, Two Ties, The Pirate King Tuccrr, The Homie Min, and of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for Arishem will come out today. See you later. Thanks as always for watching. Appreciate y'all. Peace.